we're talking about Ministry past tense, I suppose, but wasn't there an announcement that there is going to be another record next year?
There is. Al announced this summer. I never know what to believe because it's like I'm not in touch with Al directly since I was at his house 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago, doing the finishing, going through all of Fix with him. I haven't really spoken to him. Everything's hearsay to me, up to and including this lawsuit that came and went to stop Fix from coming out.
Right.
I never could talk to Al about it. I'd hear through his attorneys, through his manager, through his and further than that, Al would say something to his wife that would go through her to the manager, from him to the attorney, then back to our attorney or whatever. And then a lot of it just didn't end up being true. Like, I was never served, but if you read the papers, it was like I was being sued for 6 months. Anyway, so that all being said, I also read that this summer he was clean and sober for quite a long time, and he was training for a triathlon, and he was going to drop a record this winter, and that he was going to tour it next summer. And I know they're selling tickets like in Germany, but I think that's expanding now for next summer's tour. But the record isn't meant to drop. The new Ministry record isn't meant to drop till I think March or April now. But no one knows what it is. I mean, the guys who made it must, I suppose.
Right.
And I think that's the usual, the new usual suspects, if you know what I mean. It's
sure.
It's the guy from Prong. It's the guys from Static X, I think. A couple of those guys.
Right.
Them guys. So that I assume it will be like that, much more straight ahead rock. Like he claims that he really likes that again. He's sort of back to his roots kind of thing. Although we know his roots were English disco.
Yeah, I mean that's what I mean, that's the thing. I've heard Al say in various different interviews, well, this is what I always wanted to do, and then walk away from it.
Right.
And so again, like, was he serious? Did he just mean it at that moment? I mean, I guess that's really what it comes down to. Did he just mean it at that moment, or is he playing mind games?
Yeah, it's so hard to know, isn't it? Are you going to interview him?
No, I'm terrified. I'll tell you what, though. I'll tell people to go to fixtheministrymovie.com. Unless there's some kind of lawsuit to have that taken down.
No. We're
all
out
good
now.
Okay. So what does he think of the movie now?
Well, like I say, the last time I talked to him about it, he absolutely loved it. So, and I've never heard anything different from that. I've never heard even read from anyone else that he doesn't like the movie. It's just that he wanted a whole bunch of money that we couldn't invent fast enough.
Right.
Which that's his right to, but except that we had contracts that said we didn't need to pay him the money, and so then his way of negotiating was bring out the saber.
Right.
So we did have that sort of. That made it very difficult over the summer. We were hoping to last spring to bring it out, but that was the legal sword of Damocles, if you will, that we just were going, well, the movie's too small to waste a bunch of money on attorneys, and I didn't want to get into that trap. I knew the movie was going to come out, because these are bootleggy kind of days, and you can only sit on something so long. And the fans on Facebook are, of course, appropriately, they're Ministry fans, right? So they're disgruntled when they arrive,
right?
And so if you give them something else to dig their teeth into, then I become the biggest, Freel's a liar. It's never coming out or whatever. It's pretty funny, actually. It's funny now because it is coming out. But
before I let you go, getting back to your early hair band work, when were you working with those kind of bands?
I did like 4. I directed a lot. I did hundreds of them. I got out of film school in L.A. in like 85. So I just rode the hair wave. I did tons of big ones and little ones, literally from Kiss down to, I shouldn't say down to, but Warrant, Stryper, Dokken, like just on and on and on. Eventually I got to work with bands that would be more like the music I would play in my car, like the Replacements and the Chili Peppers and stuff. But for a bunch of years I was in sort of heavy metal headquarters at a place called The Company in Los Angeles, and all the directors there were doing just all that same stuff, the crew, everybody. It was a much smaller world back then for music video directors. We all knew each other and stuff. It's really different now.
Well, yeah, now there's no venue for them. That's the other thing.
True.
Basically you throw it up on YouTube and hope for hits.
Yeah, and so it's kind of all or nothing. We could do lots of mid-size. It's like the middle class going away and everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now you either get $1 million to do a or $2 million or whatever to do Jay-Z video, or you do one for your friends for $5,000.
Right.
And there's very little in between. But yeah, that's what I came out of. But then I sort of became the guy who would stay on the bus longer, if you will.
Right.
I kind of became known to the labels as that guy. So if somebody wanted someone to hang with the Ramones, or even Hatebreed or Linkin Park or Metallica, I did a bunch of work with them, where I'd be around for a while and come up with what we call EPKs. I'm sure you know that.
Sure.
Electronic press kits, and that intimacy, people just got to know, and it was partially because I was a junkie, to be honest, because people would know I would be calm, cool about all that stuff. If I wouldn't shoot anything that they didn't want me to shoot, or if I did, it would end up in their hands, which means it wouldn't make it to the parole officer.
Right.
or also a really big deal, and this is what makes this film kind of heroic. I'm not saying that as a filmmaker having directed it, but it's heroic of Paul and Al to show their feet of clay. Because my job, 9 times out of 10, or way more than that, is to propagate the rock god myth.
Right.
Shoot them only in that light that makes them look bigger than everybody else. And these guys were just the opposite of that. They were going, don't do any of that. And it's the only. That's why I had to make the movie. I only got on the bus to do an EPK, and at a certain point I started getting close to Al, and I had to literally call people at Warner Brothers back and go, I have to either get off the bus, your EPK is done, I got you enough, or it's not your footage, and I'm going to go into business with Paul and Al and my producing partner Jeffrey Kiner, and the 4 of us will be this team, and we'll make something.
Right.
We certainly didn't know it was going to take 15 years, but...
Well, yeah, again, I don't know if I mentioned that at the beginning, that you're documenting that 1996 tour.
Yeah, that's the core of the film. Then all the interviews and stuff happened just very recently, just in the last couple of years.
So
but I hope anyone who sees it and has their expectations ruined or something like that will go up on Facebook, our Facebook site, and tell me, give me what for, as they say in the old parlance.
Yeah, they need to come down from Mount Pius. Yeah, the other thing is, before I let you go here, obviously this is your prime concern right now, talking about this movie and getting it out there. What's next for you? Well,
I have a really scary little thriller movie that I want to make that actually has actors moving through a script. I've done a lot of long-form stuff with bands. A lot of it was more like pay-per-view stuff, so it would only be sort of B-roll mixed in with concerts.
Right.
And it's been a long time since I've done that. I did Cliff 'Em All for Metallica way back when Cliff Burton died, and it's so that's a lot of years to be doing that kind of expose, if you will. And I really am now looking forward to, and it'll be funny and scary, kind of like Fix, but it'll be, how do you say, a proper fiction film.
Wow.
That's this is my transition out of. This is my homage to Needles and Pipes.
Well, thanks, Doug. Thanks.
I'll call you when the next one comes out. Ghosty.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to see it. I want to see this too. I mean, you've job well done. You've sold it. You've sold the movie on everybody, I think, here.
Cool, man. I'm not kidding though. I'm always anxious when people have seen it to go up and just for good or for bad, just let me know what you think.
Thanks so much, Doug.
My great pleasure. Talk to you soon, Ghosty.
Bye-bye.